Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 16 violin concertos I couldn't live without. Well, we've done piano concertos, but violin concertos are actually easier. It's easier to come up with the big ones that I really love than it is with piano concertos, because there are a lot more great piano concertos than there are great violin concertos. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But the principal reason is simply that historically speaking, virtuoso violinists wrote for themselves, and they weren't interested in playing things by other composers unless they had input into how the violin part was actually written. And if they didn't have input, then they changed it anyway, as happened with, for example, the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. There are revisions and things that other violinists did to make it more violin-y, violinistic, or whatever. So composers who undertook the chore of writing a violin concerto, with all of the difficulties of balance between orchestra and solo and all the things that it entails, weren't going to do it unless they knew they had a great violinist who was going to play it and play it frequently. Otherwise, why make the effort? So after writing maybe one, maybe two, they just said, it's enough of it. Whereas piano concertos, if they could either play it themselves, because so many composers were trained as pianists and were very good pianists, or there were other pianists willing to do it. They seem to have a more relaxed attitude towards piano technique than violinists did. So here is the list of 16, my list of 16. I'm very interested to get your list of 16, or up to 16. And as I've said before with this, there's a playlist that has all of the videos of this Music I Can't Live Without series that you could look and participate in things you may have missed. But beyond that, you can repeat composers. I don't. But you can. It's fine if there are multiple works by multiple composers that are your favorites. It's your choice. The point being that I really want to know how you feel about these great works. Not I love your list. People say I love your list, and I would agree. Except I would have replaced this with that or this. Just do your list. If it duplicates, fine, because people who come to look at these things don't, they want to know which pieces are the most popular, which things reappear regularly. That's an indication. Maybe if they don't know them, maybe they should prioritize them. It's all good. That's my point. So, number one, Bach. Yes, Bach. Not any of the violin concertos we know about, but the Violin Concerto in D minor, BWV 1052. That's an arrangement. It's an arrangement of the keyboard concerto, the harpsichord concerto, which for centuries everybody thought originally must have been a violin concerto, but nowadays they don't think it was necessarily a violin concerto. You think maybe it was an organ concerto or something. Who cares? It sounds wonderful on a violin. That's the point, because it's a huge masterpiece. I acknowledge that. It's just that in the keyboard version, I find it so relentless and almost mechanical sounding, and it's just a big work, and it never lets up. Some people love that quality. I think with a violin, you have a warmer, more human tone to the solo instrument, and that makes especially the slow movement and the slower music, and it makes the whole thing far more approachable and expressively poignant for me. So I love that arrangement, and it's on my list. So there. Next, Mozart, Violin Concerto number 3, for the slow movement. Oh my God. Ya da da, ya da da da, ba da 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 da. The flute's coming in and all that. I don't give a damn about the rest of the concerto. That slow movement, it's to die for. So, there you go. Beethoven Violin Concerto. Well, you got to have it, right? It's beautiful. It's lyrical. It's so not a virtuoso violin concerto, which is one of the wonderful things about it. That's one of the things that prevented it from entering the repertoire for 50 years after Beethoven wrote it. Okay, I get it, but gosh, it's beautiful. The themes are lovely. It's so lyrical and singing and big, but also calm and pure. And it's just a masterpiece. Forget it. The Dvorak Violin Concerto. This is the piece that's made the biggest comeback in the past few decades among violin concertos by major composers, because it's gorgeous. The tunes are fabulous. Dvorak wrote it for Joachim, who refused to play it because he thought it wasn't formally what it was supposed to be. Of course, he was a hypocrite. He didn't have the problem with the Bruch, which is even more formally weird than Dvořák's. But the bottom line is Dvořák did not write a big, full, classical concerto opening tutti, as in Brahms, a 25-minute opening movement. He wrote a 10-minute opening movement that segues into the slow movement, and then a brilliant finale. And all the movements are the same length, and the finale is really the best of all of them. It's fabulously well structured and deliciously exciting, and the ending is thrilling. And I don't understand why anybody didn't love it from day one, but people have their attitude, and the attitude sometimes governs, as it did, I think, with the Glazunov Violin Concerto, another concerto that I adore. It's a little bit on the short side. It's about 20 minutes and a bit, normally, with the movements sort of all running together. It's so catchy and beautiful, and the orchestration is gorgeous. It's got a harp, it's got a little percussion, a little bit of it's so colorful. And that final tune at the end, that wonderful rhythm, and I don't get it. I don't understand why it doesn't get played more often. I've only seen it once, and I wanted to do it in my community orchestra. We had to find a violinist who would learn it. It's not easy, apparently, but wow, it's a brilliant piece of writing, and so joyful and Glazunov's concertos are really actually, the piano concertos are wonderful too. They're not as well known as they deserve to be, not at all. So the Violin Concerto by Glazunov is a real find if you don't know it. Saint-Saëns, Violin Concerto number 3. He wrote 3 violin concertos. They're all good. All of his concertos are good. This is the greatest of them. It's one of the great 19th century violin concertos. I have seen that a couple times, and every time I see it, I find myself scratching my head. There, not my cheek, my head, and saying to myself, why on earth doesn't this thing get played more frequently? The melodic content is first class. The writing for the solo is brilliant. The orchestration is perfect. Go figure. It's a work of genius. It's delightful. The Mendelssohn, of course, the Mendelssohn E minor. That's another work that's just perfect. Everything about it is perfect. It's beautifully structured. It's amazingly orchestrated. The tunes are absolutely first class all the way through. You could listen to it 100 times and never get tired of it. It's just a great work. So that's an easy one to add to the list. The Barber Violin Concerto. Oh, the tunes. Oh, that first movement. Oh, the oboe solo in the second movement. It's just gorgeous. The only thing that I think detracts a little bit from the piece is the finale, which is, because the original person who commissioned it was offended that Barber wrote something that was so lyrical and attractive and wasn't virtuoso enough. Shades of Beethoven, right? And so he wrote this very, very dazzling finale that's extraordinarily difficult. And that turned out to be too difficult for the guy to play. Musically, it's not as interesting. It's more virtuoso fireworks stuff, and I like the melodic content, but I'm willing to put up with it because those first 2 movements are so beautiful. And the finale gets the job done. It really does. It ends the piece with a bang, and you want that, so I'm okay with it. Next, Frank Martin, the Swiss composer. This is such a wonderful work. It amazes me that people don't know it. He was a really good composer, Frank Martin. He really was. And he wrote a lot of terrific music and in a variety of styles, sometimes 12 noti, sometimes not. But this is another supremely lyrical, beautifully diaphanous, luminous concerto that I just wish were better known, because it deserves to be a repertory piece. And I think that it would be a real crowd pleaser. It's a noble work, serious, but also full of charm and light. It's just terrific. Absolutely wonderful. Shostakovich, Violin Concerto number 1. Oh gosh, everybody knows it's great. It's in 4 movements. It's in Baroque suite form. It has a nocturne, a scherzo, a passacaglia, and a burlesque. And that passacaglia is simply one of the most majestic and passionate pieces of violin music anyone ever did. It's such a work of genius. It's incredible. And the final movement, which makes fun of all the previous tunes in the concerto, is really something special. There are a lot of romantic concertos. The finale is problematic. It's supposed to be virtuoso. It's supposed to come to a big ending, and it usually, or often it just sort of doesn't deliver. Shostakovich's finales always deliver, and this burlesque really does it. I mean, it ends at the most exciting ending you've ever heard in your life of a violin concerto. Extraordinary work. Bruch, the Scottish fantasy. I list this with concertos because it really is. It's longer, actually, I think, than his G minor concerto, the famous Violin Concerto number 1. And that's not on my list because of the Scottish fantasy, which I think is a much better work. It's just brilliant and fun, and it's in multiple movements. It's big and beefy, and the tunes are fantastic, and you could really dig into it. And Jascha Heifetz plays the pants off of it. I just don't understand why it isn't played. Well, it's not played often because it's not called a concerto, but it's better. It really is. It's tremendous. Castelnuovo-Tedesco, Violin Concerto number 2, I profetti, the prophets. Oh, it sounds like a Hollywood Bible pick film score. Yes, it does. You expect to hear Cleopatra running through it, and the Ten Commandments, and all of that Orientalist glamour. But that's what it is. It's glamorous. Oh, I love this work. I'm totally shamelessly a fan of that kind of music. Why? Because it's not boring. It just isn't. Some people might think it's kitschy or whatever, but screw them. It has so much color and melodic appeal. And thank God Itzhak Perlman played it, and a few other people have done it too. And gosh, it's marvelous. I mean, people should just listen to it and enjoy it, and not worry about silly things like taste. I mean, it's so unimportant, especially when it's as well written and enjoyable as this thing is. Same is true of the Korngold Violin Concerto, which has really come into its own in the past couple of decades, probably because of the return, the vogue for film music. I mean, the concerto is based on film music. Another Dawn in the first movement, The Prince and the Pauper in the finale. And, it's a work that is so violinistic. I mean, it was, again, written for Heifetz, who played it and played the pants off of it. But now everyone's doing it, and they all do it well. And you really have to enjoy the sound of the violin because Korngold's going nuts with double stops and triple stops and all kinds of, passage work and crazy pyrotechnics. But the scoring is gorgeous, and the tunes are fabulous. Oh, it's amazing. Then there's the Berg Violin Concerto. Well, this is the violin concerto for people who claim they don't like atonal music because it's supremely beautiful. It's extremely lyrical. It has tunes that are readily identifiable, and it's sad. It's a tragic work. I mean, it was dedicated to the memory of Manon Gropius, who was Alma Mahler Gropius Werfel's daughter. She died of meningitis, and Berg wrote this piece in her memory. And the second half of it. It's in 2 movements. Deals with the onset of her illness and death, and this sort of adagio apotheosis at the end. It's really troubling but incredibly powerful work. And I've seen it many times, and it never fails to make an impression. And it's one of the few concertos that ends quietly, and feels like it ought to end quietly, and doesn't lose anything by ending quietly. That's an achievement. And last but not least, this is a personal favorite. I mean, these are all personal favorites, but as I expect yours to be, the Piston Violin Concerto number 1, one of the most neglected and best American violin concertos of the 20th century. It's a work of genius. It is totally, completely neoclassically fabulous. I mean, the tunes are top-notch. The orchestration is pellucidly clear. It's rewarding for the soloist, and I don't know anyone who's heard it who hasn't come away saying, wow, where's this thing been? I mean, really, it deserves to be there. So that's my 16. I am looking forward with bated breath to seeing your list of up to 16. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.